What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of The Legislative Director, talking about legislative things. She can almost see the end of session from here.
Can I?
You gotta squint a little bit. Legislative Director Amber Marr, with her as always, not the Legislative Director, Jason Thompson. Amber, look, you're tired. I'm tired.
Squinting. I think I might need binoculars still.
Yeah, which way are you looking at them though? Like the wrong way, so it's super far away. Or we're talking about you need them so you can see up close.
Who looks in the wrong way?
I don't know.
Binoculars.
Children.
Oh.
I'm a bit of a child.
I didn't say it.
I did.
Okay.
So we're almost at the end of session. We'll start with some good news. Dan's back and we're recording right now.
I was going to say good news. What is there for good news these days?
That's very good news because we're not having the problems that we had last week that you may or may not still be mad at me about.
It's going to take me a minute.
Yeah, that's okay.
To get over that one. Anyway.
Anywho, the State House, things are happening there. Deadlines are approaching, or we have reached them, and we're now continuing to move forward. Let's get into what is happening with the Indiana General Assembly as we reach the middle of April.
So, Tuesday was the House Committee report deadline. Today, which is Thursday, we're recording this on a Thursday, the Senate Committee deadline happened today. So committees are
dunzo.
Yeah.
Regular committees are dunzo.
And regular committees. Any bill that did not make it through this second half and it was not heard in a committee hearing, it is no longer.
This is the part of the game show where they get their parting gift.
Well, yes, but keep in mind that while the bill may not have made it, language can still come back from those bills and be put in other bills.
Like a bad horror movie.
This is
like zombies or something.
Yeah. It's like this is just chaos for the next couple of weeks.
Cool.
You don't know what bill's going to end up where, what language is getting removed from this bill and put in another one. It's interesting.
Interesting is for sure a word for it.
Yeah.
So we're now past those deadlines.
We're now past them, yes.
We're now past those. So what's the big ticket item that we should talk about today that they literally took to the last day that they could put it out there?
Down to the wire. House Bill 1001, which is the budget bill. It was released this morning. The Senate version was released this morning, discussed in Appropriations Committee in the Senate, and voted out all on the same day. So it's
quick work.
This was the Senate version that dropped this morning.
Yeah, I'm sure you've read that whole thing now, right?
Well, I'm still working my way through it, but I have at least researched
some ideas.
Yeah, so that I can give a little bit of background on our topics.
Well, the thing that we were looking at in there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the first question is.
Wait, the thing?
The things we were looking at.
You make it sound like we're watching one item.
The things that we were paying attention to in said bill.
Yeah.
I guess the first question is, are those things still there?
Great question. Yes.
Okay.
So Adult Protective Services, the Choice Program, the Public Mass Transit Program, Adult Guardianship Services, another line item for adult guardianship. All of those items have remained the same amount as the previous budget. They did not increase, they did not decrease, but they have maintained, which is, honestly, we look at that as a win.
It's good.
Some other items that we have been following is, if you remember correctly, House Bill 1005 was the infrastructure housing bill that essentially created the Residential Housing Infrastructure Assistance Fund. And that remains in the Senate version of the budget, just like it did in the House. It funded $50 million for the first year, $25 million for the second year. The Senate did the same thing.
Okay.
So still good on that.
Maintaining.
Yep. Local public health funding, which if you remember, we've talked a lot about Senate Bill 4, which has the process of how that funding would go. But the funding of the actual initiative is in House Bill 1001. And it appears as though, and I know I'm going to need to dive a little bit deeper into this, but it appears as though the Senate funded the local public health funding very similarly to the House. So while the Governor's Public Health Commission requested $100 million for the first year and then $200 million for the second year, the Senate budget version has $75 million and $150 million, just like the House version did. So they did not fully fund it like the Governor's Public Health Commission had requested, but there is still funding there.
So still a large improvement over what they were previously doing around public health funding, but at the same time, not quite what a lot of folks were looking for.
Yeah, exactly. And then, some other items that we were watching, the homelessness prevention grants were included in the House version. They are still included in the Senate version at the same amount, the same dollar amount, which I believe is $5 million. I guess there is good news.
I'm going to lean forward on this.
So Senate Bill 1, which we talked about around the behavioral and mental health services, we obviously supported Senate Bill 1. It's moving. It's going to pass out. It's currently in the House. But the funding for Senate Bill 1 didn't exist anywhere. Do you remember this?
I do remember this.
Okay. So in the Senate version of the budget bill, community mental health centers have been funded $15 million for the first year, $20 million for the second year. So a total of $35 million for community mental health centers. There's a lot more in Senate Bill 1 than just funding community mental health centers. But we're really excited that there is funding in there for that. However, there's other things that still need to be funded. So kind of what was talked about in appropriations today was that Chairman Mishler said there will be more discussion during conference committee. Where is this other funding coming from? It could come from the fee on cell phone bills that we talked about, kind of how 911 is funded with $1 appropriated to each person's cell phone bill to get some of these funds. Or they also discuss doing a raise in the cigarette tax. But they wanted to wait to have the House members involved in these conversations. So Senate Bill 1, not fully funded yet, but coming out of the Senate, they at least did put in some money for the community mental health centers.
That's good.
Yeah.
There did seem to be a lot of discussion around this increasing the cigarette tax to go towards public health and things of that nature.
In the House, there was.
On the House side, there was.
Yeah. So the Senate Bill 1, not to confuse folks, but Senate Bill 1 just went through House Ways and Means this week.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of discussion on where the funding is going to come from, and they really did harp on increasing the cigarette tax. And so I think they just have to come together and figure out what that looks like. I will say on the Senate side, though, during House Bill 1001, while they had a lot of the members on the committee, they talked about how they wanted everyone to be involved in these conversations because we know the budget is going to change again. It's going to go to conference committee where everybody can sit down and discuss. But the Senate Democrats actually did put forth some amendments to House Bill 1001 today, which included an increase of the cigarette tax by $1.50. And it was voted down, but not necessarily because folks weren't supportive of the raise in the increase in cigarette tax. They just want to have a more robust conversation around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think if there was something else too. Oh, anyway, there were a couple of amendments that were offered today that were not, that did not make it through. But I think it's because, again, there's going to be a more robust conversation in conference committee, and we'll see how that shakes out. So I think that covers a lot of the things. Oh, The dementia coordinator bill.
Yes.
We had talked about that as well. Creating a structure to ensure that the state has some sort of a program to really help communities talk about dementia, make sure there are dementia coordinated services, all of that stuff. That has not been funded in the budget either. And why can I not think of the bill number of that?
It's like 14 something.
1422.
Yes, I was going to say that, but I was
You were very close.
I was a little hesitant to.
Yes, so the dementia care bill in 1422. 1422 is moving, it's passing, but there's no funding attached to it, so the funding needed to go in the budget. The Senate version did not have any funding for that.
Okay.
But again, we'll see what it looks like in conference because none of this is still all up in the air.
It'll get hammered out in conference committee.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that covers the budget.
All right. So
I mean, as much as there's a lot more to read in here. I have a lot more to go through.
Very large amendment for said bill.
But yeah.
So you got your homework to do. We'll pay attention as those negotiations continue and what we're hearing. There is one more bill that we were involved with this week. Mm-hmm. I think we've talked about it before.
Nope.
Maybe we haven't.
Oh,
okay. I think maybe there's been some casual mention of it. Maybe not.
Senate Bill 474.
474. What's going on with Senate Bill 474?
This
and what
will
is
be
it?
Very quick.
Okay.
Senate Bill 474 discusses home health agencies.
Okay.
We were supportive of the bill for one main reason. It does have a piece of nurse delegation in it. So it really does allow nurses to practice at the top of their license and have the opportunity to delegate to home health agencies. I'm sorry, home health workers. My apologies. So a home health aide is someone who cares for an individual in their homes and communities. And right now, the nurse has to do the G-tube and J-tube feedings of someone, and that is usually in their abdomen area. And this bill simply allows, it does not make it mandatory. It will allow a nurse, after a home health aide has training around this type of healthcare procedure. And really, it's not a procedure. I don't know why I said that. But it literally is just where the home health aide, if they are delegated to do this by a nurse, the home health aide can go into these homes and do the feedings on these individuals in their homes, which they cannot currently do. So there is no mandatory requirement. If the nurse feels that the home health aide is properly trained and knows exactly what's happening, she can delegate that responsibility and that home health aide can go and do those feedings. Mm-hmm. Please make sure that you understand that this is only the feeding. It is not the insertion of the G-tube and J-tube for individuals. It's simply attaching the feeding to the tube, turning on the machine, making sure that the food goes into that individual, and then they can go on their way. So it was a huge discussion, but really what it comes down to is if the nurse feels comfortable that this home health aide knows and has the proper training, she can delegate this task and be available for other things.
Okay.
So yes, we were very supportive of it. We really appreciated it. Shout out to Evan Reinhart. He was the driving force behind this bill, and a lot of us, including the Alzheimer's Association and some other folks, were supportive of this. Okay. So, and I want to make sure that we continue to express that this is only if the nurse feels comfortable. If she does not want to delegate this task, she does not have to. Okay. This is not mandatory.
Got it.
It's a may, not a shall.
Okay.
Okay.
We like to see it.
Yes, because this also really will help with access to care.
Love it.
And keep people in their homes and communities.
Love both of those things.
Aging in place.
Love that as well. There's a lot of things to love here. Okay. Is that it?
Well, more deadlines are happening. I believe the House has second reading deadline today, third reading deadline on Monday. The Senate has second reading deadline on Monday, third reading deadline on Tuesday. And then it's a free-for-all.
And then the circus really comes to town.
Things, you won't even know what's happening.
It's just happening.
Yep. So the conference committees will just be, head'll be spinning around. So
I don't love that, but always an exciting time of year.
Yes.
When we get towards the end of session.
The legislature has to sine die by the 29th of April.
That is like 2 weeks away, 2.5.
Yep. I don't know.
It'll be here before you know it.
It will be, but it still feels a really long way away.
It's going to be a long couple weeks, for sure.
Potentially good ones.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping.
No hope.
Somebody's K-N-O-W, not N-O.
I meant N-O.
Okay. I thought you meant K-N-O-W. Well, that's what
I have no hope.
Okay. I'm going to go with the other one.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Can you think of anything else?
No.
I'm just glad Dan's back.
I am super glad that Dan is back. Especially.
Thanks, Dan.
Anger still there. Never going to go away.
I just wanted to do a shout out.
I appreciate it. Dan, thank you for being here. Thanks for hitting record. Amber, always a pleasure. And for all you watching and listening, also a pleasure. Thanks for being here.
I hope you guys have been able to enjoy some of the weather this week.
Yeah, it looks nice.
The sunshine through the windows, at least that makes me happy.
It looks fantastic out there. Can't wait to experience it.
Maybe in May.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. On the next episode, we will see you then. I'm the legislative director, talking about legislative things. Talk to you soon.